Assalamu alaikum and good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another round of our career mode. This time we're at Singapore, and as requested, I have turned up the difficulty now at 100. No setup, 100 difficulty. Now, because it's Singapore track, I haven't done much practice at. I have decided to do a few laps of practice before this, just in some Grand Prix races, and it was alright. As you can see, this is the setup I'm using. I turned down the differential down to about 50, 55 in the race, and brake pressure we leave the same, and front brake bias we want at about 56 to 54 depending on your preference. Those are the only two things that you can change while driving the car. Everything else we have left the same, and we've gone with a balanced setup. We probably should have gone more downforce, but starting our lap here in qualifying, brake just after the 100-meter board, drop it down to third gear. We end up running wide, and now keep it over to the right. Second gear and feed the power in through the left hand. I'm not going to lie, I just do not feel comfortable at the circuit, but we're still in first. Drop it down into fourth gear, slowly feed the power on through turn 4, and away you go up the Raffles Boulevard. We're still in first somehow at the end of the first section. Now brake just after the 100-meter board, drop it down into third, feed the power in. We brake just too late, should brake just before that 100-meter board potentially. Drop it down into first through the right hander. We end up running wide, and that really cost us probably about 0.3 of a second just in that corner alone, and that's really just kind of snowballed all the way through the rest of this lap. Drop it down to fourth. You can drop it down into third temporarily. Second gear, we try to avoid that curb on the right. We take the curb on the left, and now this corner just feels so weird after the Anderson Bridge. Dropping it down into first, short shifting it all the way up into fourth. We're down in 6th place right now, but anyway, brake just after the 100-meter board. You can in qualifying, and well, maybe you can't in qualifying. We should have braked a bit earlier, but you know, if we had 90% brake bias, we could have done it. Anyway, drop it down into second gear, into the right left. We end up drifting wide on the exit of the right hander, and now down into second gear as we make our way through the bridge. We're still in 6th, make that 7th, but we're kind of jostling between 6th and 7th at the moment. Up into third, feed the power on, and just a double left-hander to go. Quick downshift into 5th, and straight back on the power. You could probably do it holding in 6th actually, but there you go. What I do know, like, I've done maybe 10 laps of practice worth here. I did a 5-lap race and some time trial practice. The 5-lap race, I did it on 100 AI, and I ended up finishing 3rd or something after qualifying 5th. So I don't have big hopes. You know, Spa, Mons, all of those tracks, it just felt good. And now for the race, as you can see, everything is standard. And let's get underway. This one's going to be difficult, and here at Singapore, just keep it out of the barriers and just take whatever points come our way. But 11,000 RPM, we're a little bit late off the line. So we make our way up through the gears. Now, if I remember correctly, I did something a little bit naughty into turn 1. We tried to find a gap, and we make a bit of contact with the Leclerc, which sends us into Alex Albon somewhat. But I guess we're very lucky, and we kind of come out of that with an unscathed front wing, and we are up into 4th place with Leclerc behind us and Alex Albon facing the wrong way somewhere. So pretty cheeky and naughty from us, but I didn't want to flash back or restart. It is what it is. Third gear into the left-hander, and we can see Vettel and Bottas battling up ahead. Verstappen's just pulling away like a nutcase. So you know, maybe we have a chance to battle for second, but we just... Thanks for that, Jeff. But we just have to focus and really hope for the best. Try to make as little mistakes as possible and try to tag along so that when the DRS is enabled, we are in range. But I just really seem to be struggling through these low-speed corners, just getting the power down, which has always been my issue, and I thought I was getting better at. But, I mean, I don't know if you guys remember, but back when we were at China or Bahrain, I was talking about how you know, there are certain tracks that you can race at where if you don't have a setup, it's fine. For example, Austria, if you don't have a setup, you're maybe 0.2 off the pace, something like that. But if you go to a track like China, or if you go to a track like Monza and you take the default setup instead of the actual setup, it costs you over a second a lap. And I don't know if that's the case here for Singapore, but it does feel like it's just understeering everywhere, can't ride the curbs, and it would just be so nice if I could change that suspension, and maybe the camber and toe-in could help out a bit, as well as the brake pressure, because I'm just missing my apexes so much because I'm braking at what feels like is the right point, but it isn't. Now, we've got Leclerc right back on our tail, and then Pardon me. It's 11 o'clock for me, and then a bit of a gap to the Renaults and Haas's. Also, Merry Christmas, guys, and a Happy New Year to those of you joining. The last episode I voice recorded was, I think, before Christmas, and they were all ready, and then I just uploaded them one by one. But this is the first one I'm recording after Christmas and New Year. Anyway, getting ready now as we make our way into this left-hander once again. We drop it down into third, short shift up into fourth, and then down to second. But this track has just doesn't flow as we end up clipping the wall with our rear, a bit like you can do at Monaco in Raskas, and as a result Leclerc's going to have a go. We're on the outside, we end up braking early, but we release our brakes and brake a little bit later, run the car all the way to the edge of the circuit. But yeah, this track has just felt horrible. Like, I just got no rhythm. I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing, if that makes sense. You know, I go to a track like Spa, I go to a track like Silverstone or Monza, and I know what I have to do. Sure, I can look at Velocity James's videos afterwards, his track guides with the setup, and work out, oh, you know, this is a good idea, this is something I should do. But you know, usually I'm not far off. I'm there, I know what I'm doing, it feels right, and it's slight adjustments I need to make. But here, it just, I don't know, it just feels really, really wrong, if that makes sense. But there you go. Anyway, we run wide through turn 3, and we lose a piece of our front wing. Lap 3 or 5, so we're just about halfway through now, and I'm not gonna lie, it's a dull race. We're just in the middle of nowhere trying to keep Leclerc and some of the other guys behind us as we go purple in sector 1, and Vettel and Bottas still battling, but we just need to hope for them to make a mistake, as again you can just see running wide, understeering into that right-hander, and it's just horrible. But we make our way into turn 10. Well, I think that's turn 11, because that is 11 and 12. Yeah, 11 and 12. And now through the Anderson Bridge and into turn 13. But yeah, not much is happening, so might as well just chat about things. I am now officially a member and a content creator for Team Shazoo, so that's pretty cool. So don't forget to check those guys out. Yeah, also, once again, we're nearing the end of the season, so let me know, guys, what you want me to do for the next season, whether it starts off in the Formula 2 cars, go straight in F1 cars, what cars you'd like me to start in, length of races. I think I'm probably going to do 50% races and short qualifying, so 18-minute long qualies. I don't know if you want me to include any practice or qualifying laps. ORL is coming back from his Christmas break, so we've got the Japanese Grand Prix, I believe, coming up on Saturday, actually, this Saturday coming. That will be coming through. I'm starting to do some commentating with AOR, so that's good fun. Maybe can make it into Split 1 or Split 2 for the next year as we run wide onto the Raffles Boulevard. But yeah, it is what it is. Not too sure what else to really talk about. But yeah, it's an interesting time for me at the minute. I'm putting more and more effort into this. We'll be having some more open lobby events. If you guys want to be involved in the open lobby championships that I make, essentially I just make a 5-lap lobbies, about 10 to 13 races usually, and we just do a championship in about 2 hours, and I stream all of that. That's all on Twitch, so make sure you hit me up on Twitch, twitch.tv/MilkyCereal1, or just follow me on Twitter, and you'll get the notifications whenever I make those lobbies and start streaming. But lap 4 or 5, and we're making our way to the enders. That's not too bad, but yeah, you can see Leclerc, and then there's a gaggle of about 5, 6, maybe 7 cars right behind, and we're just unable to pull away. We just don't have the pace. It's as simple as that. And actually, you can see from our tyre wear, it's already 21-22%, which is pretty horrendous when you usually think how good we are with our tyres. So yeah, this is a bit of an odd one, and I'm going to keep it at 100% for Russia, because Russia is a circuit that I do like, and as we are on regular penalties rather than strict, we can abuse some of those track limits a bit, and we should get a really good battle with some of the other guys. But then for the likes of Suzuka, and then I think it's Mexico, Brazil, Abu Dhabi. Sorry, Suzuka, USA, Mexico, Brazil, Abu Dhabi. Blimey, there's only 5 races left of the season. Yeah, and then we're done. So we're about 100 points ahead of Vettel at the minute in the championship. So I don't think he can catch us. 5 races to go. He'll need to get 20 points or something, and it's not looking like he's going to really be able to do that. But there you go. Anyway, we have a bit of a moment. We touched the wall. Now let's just focus as we have a massive moment with our back end. We somehow catch it, but look how many positions we've lost, and we drop all the way down to 7th. Maybe that's, karma biting back after our contact with Alex Albon, because if we hadn't done that and, we had slotted in behind Albon and Leclerc, we would have got 6th. Maybe we could have got ahead of them for 5th or still 4th, but we're down in 7th, and I think it just highlights how much we have been struggling in this episode. But we're at 100 difficulty. I wouldn't say we're racing with the 100 AI, more like just trying to hold our own to our best abilities. Also, don't forget Valence League is coming this weekend, Saturday and Sunday, 6 PM GMT. I'll be streaming that over on Twitch. I can do that on YouTube, depending on what you guys prefer, but I think I'm going to stick with the live streams being on Twitch, unless, as I mentioned, you guys have a massive preference. But across the final corners, we drop it down into 5th one last time, and across the line to pick up our worst finishing position of the year. I'm pretty sure 7th place. I'm pretty sure every race we have either been 1st or at minimum on the podium, and it's a very first win of the season for Red Bull, if I am not mistaken. And our run, I think we were on 7 or 8 wins in a row, has sadly come to an end. But that's about it, ladies and gentlemen. As you can see, 14 seconds down, our fastest lap, nowhere near. When I did the 5-lap practice before this, I was doing a low 40, so I think that front wing damage really was actually hurting us a fair bit, more than you would think. But that being said, Vettel 3rd, the gap's only 97 points. If we had won this race, maybe it would be about 120 and the championship would be pretty much over. But that's it, guys. So thank you very much for tuning in. Don't forget to leave a follow or subscribe, and until next time, guys, stay milky. Assalamu alaikum.